Excited to be here today to chat with you guys about child support and life insurance. I have the amazing Camille Hicks here. I'm gonna let her introduce herself and talk about her background and all that good stuff.
Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for joining me, Attorney Green. I am a licensed insurance agent. I specialize in life insurance and retirement. I attended Texas A&M University, and I've been in the insurance business for 10 years now. So I'm very well versed in a lot of different areas of insurance, and especially I really have a passion for helping families and businesses plan and strategize in the life insurance arena.
Awesome. And as you guys who are maybe new to the channel or you're joining from Camille's channel, my name is Ashley Nicole Green. I am a Houston family law and divorce attorney, and I'm excited to be here today and chat with you guys about this topic and about how child support and life insurance intersect. So before we get in, we're just going to make sure that all of our accounts are showing us as live, so that way we can make sure everyone's tuning in before we get into the details. So let's see here. Looks like we're live on Facebook.
I'm trying to connect here too. Yes, and I'm live on Facebook and on YouTube for those of you who are watching on YouTube.
Yay. And it looks like I'm live on YouTube, Facebook. My Instagram is not showing up for some reason, so let me refresh that one.
I'm not showing on Instagram either, so.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to make sure, just bear with us, guys. This is our first time using this new system, but if you have questions, go ahead and leave those in the chat box, because we will be jumping right into our questions as soon as we finish our content for today. So
thank you to those of you who are joining us.
And our topic is, like she mentioned, is going to be about child support and life insurance and how those two things intersect between our two industries. So, all right, so let's see here. All right, it's loading now. Well, mine says it's loading on Instagram, so we're going to see if it actually processes.
Okay, if not, maybe we can just jump on Instagram.
On our phones, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it says accept. It's taking a little bit, but we're going to give it. And we will have a resource page that you guys will be able to tune into or access at the end of today's session. So make sure that you stay to the end so we can tell you how to get that resource. It's sending data now, so I think it's going live. It's saying.
Awesome. Hopefully we can connect for our friends on Instagram.
So let me know if it's on yours.
I'm looking
live, rather. Okay, well, maybe we should just jump on, because I'm not seeing it. Are you seeing it?
I'm not either, so we'll have to.
Okay.
We'll have to figure that out, but we can. Yeah, if you want to, do you want to start it and add me, and then it should show up on mine as well. So.
Yeah, we'll do that. So.
Okay.
At least we know how Facebook and all the other ones work. Right. All right, I have to put my phone here. All right, so now I'm live. So let me add you. As soon as you get on, then I can.
I'm on right now. There we go.
Okay, perfect.
Hello, Instagram.
Awesome. All right. So let's make sure that you get joined on. I see. There it goes. Oop. Now it's going to. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
It's echoing on my end.
I had to turn one of my microphones off. I turned the one on my computer off. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you know it's not going to be on the live on the. Okay.
Hi everyone. Thank you for. We're having some technical issues, but we're gonna. I think if you put your headphones, they can still hear you.
What about now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I hope that people on Facebook can hear me because
Yeah, if you guys can hear us on Facebook, can y'all let us know so that way we can make sure that you guys are hearing us. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. For some, okay, so there's people are saying it's bad sound. Are you still hearing bad sound and some feedback on Instagram? We have two separate systems that we're doing right now, so we're trying to make this work. Our other system didn't process with. Okay, great. Now they can hear us.
So Instagram can hear us. What about you, Facebook?
Yes, can you guys hear us? If you're joining us on Facebook, just like send us a chat or something, let us know you can hear us. So we're gonna go ahead and just like reintroduce ourselves and kind of give you some information about what we're gonna be talking about today. We're so excited to do this. We had this all planned out, and of course, you know, technical issues came about, but we already said we had this as a backup. So I'm here today with Miss Camille, and I'm going to allow her to introduce herself again for those who are just joining us so that you guys can learn about who she is, what she does, and all that good stuff.
Hello, everyone. I'm Camille Hicks. I am a licensed insurance broker. I am based out of Houston, Texas, but I insure several states, really about 7 states. So I'm able to help in a lot of different areas in the country. And I went to Texas A&M University, and I've been in the insurance business for 10 years now. And I do specialize in life insurance and retirement. I have a passion for really helping protect people's families and your businesses as well.
Yes.
So thank you for having me today.
Yeah, I'm excited that you decided to pair up with me and we're doing this, you know, series. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for people just to get information. So for those who don't know, my name is Ashley Nicole Green. I'm a Houston family law and divorce attorney here in the Houston area. And I'm excited to talk about. So we know you guys have been bearing with us, so we're going to jump right in and we're going to talk about this topic. And hopefully, if you have questions, we can get to them. So please leave those in the chat, comment, question mark section, however you want to do it. And at the end, we'll make sure that we answer those. So Camille, I want to just kind of start off by asking, you know, when we first had our conversation a few weeks ago, we were talking about, you know, insurance and child support. What was the first thing that you realized once I started telling you about one of the provisions in the family code that related to a person having to keep insurance as part of a child support obligation, and how that fits into your world?
Yeah, I'm glad that we started talking about it because there are so many people who could benefit from understanding the laws and the strategy that goes behind it to make sure that the goal here is to make sure that your family is protected. We're all working hard to build things. We're building families, assets, and divorce happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, but divorce shouldn't wipe you out or take away all of your assets or cause your kids to be in a bad position if something were to happen. So there's simple things that by taking the laws and the strategies that you can use with life insurance that can help you navigate in a divorce situation and still protect your family and your business if it comes down to business. And so that was really the main thing, is just us being able to share our knowledge where those two come together when it comes to life insurance and divorce.
Yeah. So, and when I first, you know, spoke to you, the thing that kind of like really stuck out to me, which we're going to have a whole different topic about that in this series, is the different types of like options that people have with life insurance. Obviously, for those who don't know, the Texas Family Code does allow for a parent to be required to keep life insurance as a policy. And you are required, if the court, does it on their own motion or on the motion of the other parent, provide proof of that. And some of the things that I learned just in talking with Camille and, exploring how these two intersected was the family code says, the excessive funds from whatever is paid out from that life insurance policy goes immediately to the person's estate. But Camille pointed out, you know what, that's not how it needs to be. If someone comes in and they sit down and they talk to me, we can have it in any way that they desire it, whether that be naming another beneficiary, whether that be naming it to a trust, things like that. And so from the family law aspect, a lot of times I have people that say, well, why do I need a life insurance policy? Actually, like, this doesn't make sense. And it's exactly what Camille said at the beginning of this live, is that you have your children, you have your family, and you don't want your child to be without if you can plan. And one of the best ways you can plan is to have these things in place. We have plans or life or insurance on our phone, on our cars, on our house, on our kids' Amazon tablets, on, all these things.
On everything.
Don't get life insurance on ourselves. And, it's just very tragic, especially when you have a parent that passes and that child is left without any ability to have any funding coming in. And it's just an unfortunate situation. So
yeah,
the best way to do that is we're going to kind of start off by talking about what do you do first. So the first thing that we want you guys to note is that you need to look at your court orders. If you don't have an order in place now, look at your court order or talk to an attorney to get a court order in place. Either way, figure out if you have a child support obligation in that court order. If you do, the next thing you need to do is talk to Camille. And I'm going to let her tell you what it is that she'll be able to do once you realize if you do or you don't have a court order, and you go through the process of modifying your order to get insurance ordered, or if you're getting an order in place and you're going to ask the court to do that. So Camille, can you tell them what it looks like once they figure out that first step?
Sure. Yeah. So that's an important step, is to figure out, but either way it goes, you can still call me and work on a strategy to protect yourself, your family, your business after a divorce. And so on my end, what that looks like is it really doesn't take long. It's a 30-minute phone call or Zoom call where we go through what is it that's important to you? What are you trying to protect? I'm very solution oriented. I don't believe that one policy fits all people. So if anybody ever tells you without asking you what's important to you, what you have, what you need, then I would be very cautious and really do some research, because there are so many different types of solutions and strategies you can use with life insurance. So once you determine whether it's going to be something that's going to be a court ordered, or whether you just simply need to put some things in place between you and your ex-spouse, or maybe you and your kids, whatever that looks like for you, we customize it for you. So for most people, that's going to be looking at, especially if you have kids, that's looking at what is who's the custodial parent, and also how old are your kids? What are the future plans for your kids? It's also looking at your child support payments. So what happens if something happens to the parent who is paying child support? Both parents should want to make sure that the children are taken care of. That's the most important thing after a divorce, when you have kids. And then also, I like to take it a step farther. Okay, so let's take care of we'll look at your child support payments. What's a necessity for your kids? But let's not leave our families with just the necessities, the bare minimum. We can take it a step farther if that's something that's in your plan, or in something that's important to you, is making sure your kids are not just surviving, but that they're thriving. So you can set it up for them to have the excess funds go into college funding. It can go into an investment property for them to purchase a home cash. There's a lot of different strategies we can use and talk about, but the important thing is to talk about it, to communicate. And that's what I help you do, is sit down and figure out what's important, what you have, and what needs to be protected.
Absolutely.
And then we go in and protect that.
Yeah. So, and I think you touched on a very good point, especially for those who do have a court order in place or they're thinking about getting one. Even if that's not something they want to do, I think married couples should be having this conversation. You know what I mean? Like, you should be having this conversation. I was just talking to my husband yesterday, and I said, unfortunately, with all these, deaths that I'm seeing in young children, I just told him the other day, like, we need to get a life insurance policy on our son because God forbid something happens to him. Like, I mean, thankfully we have at this time in our life the extra cash flow to be able to have a burial and things like that. But it's a plan that we can put in place so that we're not feeling that financial burden. And so I don't want to limit this conversation to just, those of you watching, don't limit yourself or in this box of us just talking about child support for those who have a court order. This is really anybody. You should be talking about how to plan for your future. So, but going back to that particular box, so to speak, if you have a court order, you need to figure out, like Camille said, how much longer are you paying child support? How much longer will you need to be paying out to ensure that your child is over 18 and graduated, or whatever your plan is? Because, a lot of times that's what the big if and back and forth is in court, is because people say, well, I don't want to have to get $1 million policy, or I don't want to have to get a $3 million policy. I just want to get enough to be able to cover this past that. And then if I decide to do something outside of that, that's between me and, my life insurance specialist, but I don't want to be court ordered. So you need to figure that out. And then once you get that dollar amount, because it's going to be based off of the family code, what you have at that moment that you're paying, go to Camille or go to a life insurance specialist. Let them say, okay, we see this is the amount that you're going to have to pay out. This is probably going to be enough to get you bare minimum through this amount, right? So that way, when you go to court and the other side is saying they need a $3 million policy, you can be like, well, wait a minute, judge. I've spoken to someone. They told me this is the amount that I would need. And that way, you're not feeling like you're having to give more, right, at that time in your life than is what's necessary for the court's purposes. But like Camille said, you can go set up whatever else you want outside of the court ordered, requirement. So that's the first thing the court's going to do is ask you how much, you have to pay out. The other thing is that they're going to also figure out, like, what is the amount that you have to pay for your medical insurance. That's something that, like, people forget about a lot of times, where I'm going back and forth with opposing counsel. They say, well, it's just the child support amount, but it's also the cash medical support. How much is the cost that is being paid out per month in dental and health insurance as well? So you have to keep that in mind when you're doing this. And anything else you think people need to know about that particular part, Camille?
So people forget about all the expenses that need to be included. And so that's why a lot of times children are left kind of with the bare necessities. So I just challenge you to really sit down and think about what's important when you're having these conversations with both myself or Ashley. So think about what's important and, like, really calculate what's needed. So don't forget about ballet lessons and soccer uniforms, and some of you might have a nanny or somebody helping out. Those are all things that need to be included, because I've seen people have to drastically change their lifestyles just because something happens, the unforeseen happens. So I just want to plug that in and remind people that there's a lot of things that go into it besides the like your alimony or child support.
And so, and to speak on that, I mean, a lot of times when I'm in court and we're relying on 154.016 of the family code, I also kind of have some people not understanding that you can get these things paid out instead of a lump sum based off of an annuity. So can you talk to people about how that is an option? Because a lot of times people are like, well, I don't want the other parent to just get a lump sum of $500,000 or $100,000 or $50,000. They want it to actually be over the course of, the child's life. So can you talk about that and how that works?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a way to do that. It's how you leave the funds. So if you want to allocate it over more of a, stretch it out over time versus a lump sum, you would really need to leave it in a trust. So a trust is really the way to be able to I always say the trust is you when you're no longer here. The trust can control um, and kind of dictate. You can tell the trust what to do as if you were still here. So
Mhm.
that is really the best way to allocate or distribute funds over a period of time versus a lump sum. Now, I do want to mention that if you do leave a lump sum, you can still put that lump sum into a trust. It doesn't have to go straight to the beneficiary. Well, the beneficiary is the trust. I should say that.
Yeah. And I mean, it would be for the benefit of the child in that circumstance, correct? Like you can designate how it's used, what it's used for, and all that good stuff.
Yes, and I think that's an important thing to note is that I often get the question, people don't want to see a lump sum go to their ex-spouse. Okay.
Mhm.
So we're done with them. We don't want to send them a lump sum of, money, but it's really think about the child. So it's you do not have to leave these funds to your ex-spouse
Mhm.
directly. You can leave this to your kids, and you can also control how they receive it. You can even control what they're able to use it for. And that's where
Yes.
the trust comes in.
Yes. I think that's really important. And I think the other thing that, outside of doing that, like let's say that you have been court ordered, and I mean, the other party has been court ordered to get life insurance, and you want to make sure that the policy is set up correctly. You want to make sure it's for the correct amount. One, you need to come and speak to a family law attorney to make sure that they have met the requirements that are being ordered by the judge. But Camille, can you talk to them about what you would do at that point, right? Once you see, okay, the other parent has been court ordered to do this, and they want to come to you and say, I want to make sure that this is correct. What would you be able to help them with at that point?
I can then tell you, I can guide you in the direction of what type of policy to get based on what you're trying to leave, or what
Well,
you're
no, I
trying to
meant,
do.
sorry, I said that bad. I meant like a lot of times people come to me and they'll say, hey, Ashley, the person set up the policy, like the judge, like the person paying child support set up the policy, and they want me to look at it and say, are the terms correct? Is this the correct value? And I'm like, that's outside of my
Oh, okay.
wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So tell them, I guess, what would you be able to do at that point, if anything, to help guide to make sure that that's in conformity what the judge ordered.
Oh, sure. I can review what the judge ordered in order to make sure that it matches up with a policy that fits. That's what I can do. So I can actually look at the specifics,
Okay.
and because a lot of times there's verbiage and jargon that you might not be aware of or might not understand, and that's okay because that's what a specialist is for. And
Yes.
so if you bring it to me, I can look at it, go over it, review it, and make sure it matches up and fits with the order from the court, from the
Yes,
judge.
and I think that's important because, a lot of times people think of us as attorneys as like we're like this magic, we have this magic wand and we have all this information, but the reality is like I have no problem in saying that's outside my box, right? I went to law school, not anything else.
Right.
And so I think it's important for you to make sure you're going to the right professional. I mean, I can read it and I can, like Camille said, there's going to be a lot of language in there that like I may read differently than how she may read it. And she may say, yeah, plain text, black and white, it says this, but there's a lot of other implications if this particular verbiage is in there from her standpoint. So make sure that you aren't just, going to one person, go to the person or the professional that is within that area to be able to guide you, make sure you're making like a good decision. Are you making sure that you don't need to go back to court and tell the judge, hey, judge, you ordered them to have a $50,000 policy, and on maybe it does say $50,000 somewhere in this document, but in actuality, it's nothing what you ordered them to do. They just maybe did the bare minimum, but nothing outside of that. So
Right.
that's something to keep in mind too. I also we included a lot of this information on our resource page, which we're going to share with you guys how to grab that at the end of this live. So make sure you tune in. But we also talked about, Camille, and I know we're going to have like a whole live dedicated to that, but about like children with special needs and when they become adults and planning for that. So can you talk to our viewers about what that looks like?
Yeah, if you have a child that has special needs, it's even more important that you provide. You're the one providing care for them right now. So if something happens, you really have to think about who's going to provide care for them, especially if they cannot care for themselves at a certain age. Even because we're talking about now, even after age 18.
Mhm.
So setting up a special needs trust and leaving the life insurance in as leaving the trust as a beneficiary in the life insurance is something that's very important to consider for if you have a special needs child. And so that's something that I can help you with. And we again review and figure out what you need and what's important. That's really my biggest thing is, you know, that's what we're working for, and that's what we're a lot of us we have people that are important in our lives, our kids, our parents, all there's there's people that just need to be protected. So when you love somebody, you take the action needed to protect them. And if you have a special needs child, you don't want to leave it in somebody else's hands to take care of your child if something were to happen. And it can take it's a simple conversation that could take 20 to 30 minutes where we can set up the life insurance to go to a trust to make sure that your child is taken care of.
Yes, I think that's awesome. And from the legal standpoint, the biggest thing I will tell you guys is if you do have a child that you know has a special, mental or physical disability and is you're going to need that special attention, that special care beyond the age of 18 or maybe even now, then you need to make sure that you're including language in your court orders that say that that has been established. That way you can get child support beyond the age of 18. In Texas, we do not typically give child support beyond the age of 18 unless there's a circumstance where that disability was known before the child's 18th birthday. There's a court order in place by a certain time after that was known to ensure that they are getting child support beyond that age. Now, keep in mind, child support is not going to be the amount that you were getting while they were under 18. It's going to be based off of their needs. It's going to be based off of the programs and resources available to them. It's going to be based off of the parents' financial resources and programs available to them, and whether or not that parent is actively contributing to that child's life outside of what has been court ordered. So keep that in mind. But again, like Camille said, we're going to have a whole topic talking about special needs trusts and all that good stuff, where we'll talk about the importance of setting that up and how to set that up. But we just wanted to make sure that you kind of have that little bit of insight, especially if you have a child that deals with that. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and open up the floor for questions related to this topic. So if you have any questions, we would love to hear from you guys. And thank y'all for bearing with us. Like I mentioned, we were trying out a new system and it just didn't work the way we wanted it to.
But we'll get it right for our next. This is a six part series. So make sure you tune in for the next one. If we had any problems with sound, I cannot tell. We won't know until we rewatch this. But bear with us and hopefully we'll get it right on the next one.
Yes. So while we're waiting for questions to come in, is there anything else that you would want to share with our viewers or let them know?
I just wanted to really just, I guess, hone in on some of the fears that I think people have with getting life insurance or even talking about it when it comes to an ex-spouse. And I just wanted to kind of put it out there that it's really not complicated and it's not hard to do. And the hardest part sometimes is just talking about it. So I just want to challenge everybody, if you're in a situation where you do have kids, where you are going through a divorce, or even you might already be divorced, to talk about, take 20 minutes, ask the questions to talk about how to protect your family. And then once you do that, schedule something with me so we can really talk about, how much coverage you need and who should own the policy. That's something that people are concerned about. Like, can I own it on my ex-spouse? Yes, you can own the policy on your ex-spouse. And you can make the payments and you can be the beneficiary. So there's a lot of ways to do it. So I just want to remind people
and
that
I guess that's a good segment into a question, because people always ask me and I have no idea. I mean, I can tell people what I pay, but I know you can't say like a specific number, but what's like a price range that someone will be looking for monthly and paying for a life insurance policy?
So life insurance, that's a great question. Life insurance is based off of age and it's based off of health. So policies can start at $13 a month, and it can go to $300+ a month. And it really depends on the type of policy. There's two types, term and permanent. There's two types of policies, and then it depends on the amount and then your age and health. So I just tell people, do not hesitate to check, okay? Because a lot of people are procrastinating on having the conversation just because you're afraid of cost, or you might be on some type of medication. At our agency, we are brokers, and so we can almost 9 times out of 10 find a policy for you. So don't be afraid of that. But the price can vary. But you might be in a range where you pay $20 a month. And so you're procrastinating and leaving your family unprotected over $20 a month.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge to know. I think the other thing that I see a lot, and I would love to see if you have like experience or if you kind of came across this, is we have sometimes clients come in and they say, Ashley, like my ex-spouse or my child's father or my child's mother, because sometimes moms pay child support too, whoever, they are in a really like, high intense work field that they could be, hurt and disabled. Is there such thing as like, insurance, like disability insurance? I don't know if I'm even saying that right, but is there a way to be able to get a payout if somebody becomes disabled that somebody could argue in court, hey, I want to add this as part of the provisions of my court order?
Yeah, well, definitely if you have a risky, if you work in a risky industry or in a career, you definitely want, that's something you can definitely request or consider, because of that person's job puts them at more risk. So there's two things you can think about. Living benefits on a policy. So you can purchase a policy so that you have a life insurance policy, but it has benefits for if you become, you're not able to work. It's not really, I can't say disabled because it's not disability insurance. There is disability insurance. But in the world of life insurance, there's living benefits that allow you to advance your life insurance policy in order to pay for things if you get hurt, if you become ill, you're critically ill, and you're not able to work for several months. You can actually take money out of your life insurance policy to be able to pay for those things. So to answer your question, if you own the policy on that person and they're not able to work, then you can advance that policy to be able to pay for things while they cannot work.
And that's very important, because we get that. I mean, in my world, I see that all the time. And I just wrote that down because I have a case right now that I'm dealing with that. And I'm going to argue if the court doesn't want to do, because our family code doesn't really say disability insurance. It says life insurance. But I can say, well, Your Honor, we're asking for them to have a provision that allows for living benefits to be paid out. So still giving the court options, still giving my client a way to, advocate for the benefit of her child or children. So that was really good information. So with that being said, I think that's all the info I have, and I'm really excited that you joined me. Is there anything else you want to share before we tell them how to grab our resource list?
No, thank you for having me, and I look forward to doing this again, and I hope that everybody will tune into our future lives as well.
Yes, we're going to have good information coming, and we're going to try to make sure this stuff is worked out, because like I said, it was just a little bit of technical issues. So if you would like to grab our resource list, which has some amazing information, we put this together, we teamed up. It's a really good quick snap. Go to my link in my bio, click on my link tree. It's the first button or option there. Fill in your information. You'll be able to download that, use it as a resource so that you can know how to get this type of situation put in place. It has all of our contact information on it. It's going to take you to a website with our contact information, but you put your information in. It's going to allow you to download that, save it to your computer, save it to your phone, share with your family and friends. You never know who may need our services, who may need to get in contact with us. And I'm going to let Camille tell you how to get it from her page.
Same thing with me. You can go to any of my pages, Camille G. Hicks or C. Hicks Agency on Facebook and Instagram. And you will see a link in the bio. You click on it and it will say Hicks Green Future Planning Resource. And it's under my resources. link tree in my bio. And you can always DM me, and like Ashley said, please share, because there are so many people that need this information, and you never know how much you could be helping somebody by providing them with this information. So thank you for sharing.
Yes, awesome. And for those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube, I put the link in the comment section. You can click on that link. It'll direct you right to that website so that you can be able to fill it out. So until next time, you guys take care, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.